When I was a child, I loved to play school. I liked to be the teacher. So I thought today, boys and girls, we could learn a few definitions. Please know I am not an attorney, nor am I an English teacher. I'm just an American citizen and I can read and write and look up these terms just as you can. I have become familiar with these terms specifically as they pertain to the crimes that have been committed against me, as well as the violation of my human rights. So, the first word of the day is due diligence. And this is the reasonable expectation that those that practice law, those that investigate the law, those that sit on the bench, are doing their homework essentially to meet the standard requirements of law. For example, if a judge were to admit a text message chain as evidence, certainly that judge would want to have supporting cell phone records to verify that those are real. Or another example would be if a judge was presented a document that signs over a significant amount of assets or someone's personal liberties to another person, they would obviously want to have the person that signed the document testify that they did in fact sign it, and even further may want to identify them with their ID to make sure that the person providing those statements is in fact who they say they are. Next, let me back up. Fear is the false evidence that appears real. And it is very fearful if we're dealing with a world where AI, deepfakes, cloned devices and cell phones, cloned VPNs, hacked Wi-Fi is all at play when it comes to evidence. And there's much needed tools to be able to better detect what's real and what's not. There's definitely an added burden upon those in the system to ensure that what is being considered, investigated, admitted is in fact real. And especially those attorneys that are presenting evidence would really have a burden upon them. So that's something that we really have to think about in the world we live in today. If a photo or a video or a chain of communication is presented as evidence, did the person in that photo consent? In the video, or did they give consent for that before it's even considered as evidence, right? Because it could be evidence of actual crime against the person in that video or footage or image. HIPAA laws are laws that protect us all when it comes to our health records. We all have protections over those privacy rights. So again, if someone's health record was to be presented as evidence, really the first question would be, well, how did you get this and why do you have it? Because civil and criminal penalty would be applicable to anyone involved in the violation of someone's HIPAA rights. So it's very important to honor those and, not be tampering with, altering, viewing records that you have no business doing so. Due process. This is what keeps things in balance with the government, the laws of the land, and our individual rights. So our life, our liberty, our property cannot be taken from us without giving us an opportunity to at least defend ourselves, to be part of the fight. So for example, in a situation where somebody has had property taken from them or assets without ever being part of the court case or even being allowed to have information on it, to be completely excluded, that would be such a gross violation of human rights. That protection's there to make sure things like that don't happen. Obstruction of justice. This involves perjury, false statements, false reports, tampering with evidence, interfering with witness testimony, a long slew of factors that really are good indicators of corruption that take away the justice from the justice system, so to speak. So pretty serious consequence, I think, should be applicable in situations where any of that has occurred, because it can really impact someone's life in a negative way, in an unfair way, in an unjust way. And lastly, entrapment. That's the intention of getting someone charged and convicted of a crime that they did not commit or that they were made to look like they committed. And this could be done, in incidents where you don't want that person to testify about something they've witnessed, or if there's been an injustice that's occurred behind the scenes against them that they don't want to be revealed. Certainly, if you can get them thrown away in jail, or take away their credibility with a long list of charges, that would be an unethical, obvious approach to interfering with that witness. So those are the words of the day. I hope they don't ever become applicable to you, but in the case that they do, it's good to know your rights and be familiar with terms and look up the things that protect us as American citizens, protect our rights, particularly our human rights, because those are so important to keep intact, to keep our system clean and just and ethical.